I've been looking for the opportunity to put my record, my achievement on it. This I think it's not a big one. He's giving me just two. The big one, Mr. Chairman, that is why I said my brother and friend Kofi Bua will go to hell. That's the reason why I said that the other day. Mr. Chairman, thanks to God, it is through the instrumentality of John Ejekum Kufuor.
Chairman, I am not sure. I don't know you have, a philosophical or religious bent. I did not ask you initially, Mr. Speaker. Initially, I sought to say that our good friend, on a good day, we know he's very jovial. But when you look at what is happening in the country right now, the public expects this engagement to be very serious. So I will plead with you once again. For my questions, I am not here to joke. We can joke when we get to the precinct of Parliament. Answer the questions and stop the jokes.
Honorable, what you said you had said earlier. He was only reporting what he had said earlier. Please proceed with the answer.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Chief Whip, there's this whole business about what is going on in the country, what is going on in the country. I find it disturbing. This is about the third time.
Can you answer the question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, sure. We're not joking. The Kofi Bua thing is on the back of the answer that I'm going to give you. That's why I alluded to it. Mr. Chairman, I was going to say this, and I'm now going to it. It was through the instrumentality of former President of Ghana, John Ejekum Kufuor, to the Ministry of Energy and myself. My minister at the time was, well, we started with Honorable Kandapa. He gave me the portfolio of petroleum. GMPC was literally non-existent. It had collapsed. He gave me that responsibility to make sure that GMPC was on its 2 feet, to make sure that they entered into proper exploration and so to develop and make sure we find oil in this country. Mr. Speaker, I was mandated to travel all over the world to look for entrepreneurs, to look for companies, and to see if they could make sense of the carbon potential. Mr. Speaker, it was I, K.C. Hammond, in May 2004, who signed the MOU, which eventually led to Cosmos discovering that oil in Ghana. That was a big achievement.
So in that case, if you were a deputy minister, you had a substantive minister, you actually talked about the president. You believe that this is your achievement, not of the president at the time, not your minister?
Honorable, yes, kindly answer.
Mr. Chairman, I said it was through the instrumentality of the then president. Then I talked about my ministers, and I said that they gave me the mandate to look after that. And the fact that I signed it is on record.
Yeah. I asked you, Mr. Honorable, I said 2 at each ministry. You were happy to say this one. It's left with 1 at the ministry and then 2 at the interior ministries.
2, yes. Well, if you say 2, yes. The ministry at the time wasn't like you cannibalize it. It was still one monolithic, energy ministry. So we dealt with petroleum, and of course we also dealt with power. I could give you so many, but I'll give you the one with the petroleum, so let me move to power. Again, under power, with the authority and the supervision of my minister, ensure that rural electrification reached many parts of the country, possibly...
Honorable, I don't have on your CV a deputy minister of power. I only have here Deputy Minister of Energy. Honorable, we have a lot of time. So please, I'm asking you 2 at the Energy Ministry and 2 at the Interior Ministry. Can you please go ahead and give us those 2?
Can I have some order? The question is directed at the nominee. I'm ignoring any other asides. And please, the heckling is beyond appropriate. So please, Honorable the Chief Whip.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Chief Whip, what I was saying was that during my time as the Deputy Minister of Energy, we had one undivided Ministry of Energy. So, the petroleum sector was under us, and then the power was also under us, all together as one Minister of Energy. So, I've given you one example in the oil, whatever. So, I was going to go on and give you an example in the power sector, both of which were under one ministry. That's what the point I was making.
So what was the power one?
So I said that rural electrification to many, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then he has another one.
And then you said that when I went to Interior. You see the border guards, immigration, and there was this worry about their safety when they are patrolling the borders and whatever. So a decision was taken. And mind you, I made this comments against a very difficult backdrop. I was a deputy minister. So if you said that your achievement, my achievement would have been in the context of what the ministry did. But a decision was made that we should make sure that they were armed to some extent to be able to protect themselves. We did that. I think we did something else. This law about citizenship, dual citizenship issue, dual citizenship. It was for the ministry to actualize the concept and the law as established by Parliament. We put that together and made sure that, in our modern...
I can see you are struggling. Can we move on?
No, I'm not struggling at all. I'm trying to develop, I'm trying to make sense of it. The modern interconnection, the modern world, when people are traveling and giving birth to children, marrying left, right, and center, various communities, we should be careful about this stereotype, this straitjacket, where you are this, so you can't do this, you are not, you can't do this. You know the restrictions that are put in place by all sorts of legislation that we have. But the concept of dual citizenship we thought was worthy of the name. We should try and make it practicable. I was part of that as well.
Honorable Katie Hammond, did you attend KNUST at all?
Legon and Tech always been that I went to University of Ghana, Legon.
Did you attend KNUST at all?
No, sir.
When Honorable Suhini was table a copy. I have got a copy of the government white paper here. It's 107 pages. There are different, this one, he just gave you a copy. White paper on the report of the Commission on Inquiry into the payment from public funds arising from judgment debt in Akin Waters, CI 79/2012. Mr. Speaker, if I read portions, it is quite clear that the Commission found it wrong for you to make payment. For instance, if I read page 13, paragraph X on that page, it reads, the result of Honorable K.T. Hammond's effort was a compromise settlement of $19.5 million in terms of the drill ship Discovery 511. It reads, the government of Ghana then decided to sell one of GNPC's marine assets to drill ship Discovery 511, a going profit-making concern, i.e. it was profitable, to pay off a compromise settlement amount of 19.5 million.
Kwame, hold on. Let's be clear. What we're
There's a CI on it.
No, that is somebody's.
No, CI 79.
This is the CI. This is the
Mr. Speaker.
Hold on, speak to the mic here.
Honorable Katie Hammond tabled. Okay. Okay, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, we have, Mr. Chairman, one, we have the white paper as in CI 79. We also have the white paper on the report of the Commission of Inquiry into payment from the public funds arising from judgment debt, arcane matters, CI 79 2012. So there are two reports before us. One is the report of the white paper, and the one is the CI itself. So in his case, he's only making reference to the report of the white paper. He has not said he's reading the CI. This is the report.
Okay. Chairman, for the sake of progress, I will make progress. I just want to put it on record that indeed, Honorable Katie Hammond was mentioned in that report to have sold a drill ship, and the report queried that. Mr. Speaker, Chairman, you also said that, in fact, you went around talking about what you did as your achievement at the Interior Ministry. But unfortunately, interestingly, on that occasion, you said we should consider it as an achievement of the same ministry. But when it came to the Power Ministry, you allocated the achievement to yourself personally. Are you aware? Are you aware that since 2016, immigration officials were allowed by law in 2016 to carry arms?
Explain to him the difference.
That's the exact point I was making. That it started with us. There was the need to make sure that they were properly protected. This is 2016. I'm talking about 2007, 2008, 9. Mr. Chairman, with the greatest respect, can I be allowed to, for once, put this whole drillship argument beyond argument? I understand it entirely. What they are saying is not entirely wrong. The Honorable Chief Whip seems to be missing a few things up. My brother, Leader Ato, is trying to explain. Mr. Speaker, bear with me. I'm capable of explaining this matter. For once, put it beyond argument. Now, two documents are what they are looking at. One is the CI, which put in place the committee to start with. I'll give you some background, Mr. Speaker. The whole concept of putting in place a sole commissioner to go into this, Mr. Speaker, came about 2012 when there was this whole hee-ho, baliho about what had happened during the administration of those sitting on this side. All the things that we talked about, you know the things I won't go into. And so it was decided that a commission to be put in place to investigate all these corruption allegations and all of that and all of that. Mr. Speaker, from nowhere, a decision was made that a single transaction which went back 12 years which was the sale of so not entirely the sale, but the transaction in respect of the trade ship, be added to the commission's deliberations. I was invited to attend when the what we call the Apple Committee, Mr. Speaker, was put in place. I attended. My brother Abuche was there. My then minister at the time who was involved with this was also there, Kandapa. But I was at the center of it, so it was fair that questions were put at me. Now, Mr. Chairman, I put it to everybody here. When is it that anybody in recorded history heard that a deputy minister of 3 months at post sells a state asset like a ship? 3 months. We went to the ministry, I think about April or so. This thing took place about June, July. 3 months. Cabinet met. What had happened was that the GMPC that I talked about, Mr. Speaker, had been run aground. It's going to be lengthy. I want to explain it so the whole country understands. Mr. Speaker, somehow a decision had been consciously made by the GMPC outfit at the time that they were going to involve in what they called hedging. For all those around who know about the commercial transactions and whatever, Mr. Speaker, hedging is a kind of gamble. You lose or you win. A decision had been made that there was some gas in the tunnel south. So some monies were going to be placed on the outcome of the discovery of gas, which eventually did not materialize. Mr. Speaker, they were doing what they call put, they were doing what they call whatever. In the end, you know what happened to GMPC? They were saddled with a debt of 47 million United States dollars. Now, at the time the Kufuor administration took over, Mr. Speaker, GMPC was nothing to write home about. Now, I tell you one conversation I had with the president. I have always said that discussions with the presidents and other top echelons of state are private and confidential. On this matter, I want to divulge it for once for the whole country to understand what went on. We went to the president about GMPC, and my point was that, Mr. President, share Yankupon, I said in P, Yame, on to say what we normally say. If it is the case that there's so much oil in Nigeria through this place, and at that time Cote d'Ivoire had also found something, why is it not that, Honorable Asaf Mafo should be helped, should be encouraged to make sure that at least GMPC is found? They were so broke, it was heartbreaking. They had no P1 peswa. Mr. President was disgusted. Look at what they done to GMPC. Well, Asaf Mafo, go with them. Mr. President used the word. His exact words in Cree. Somebody should do the rendition in English. So we went out there. And in the end, as I said, we made the discovery. But Mr. Chairman, in the process, we discovered that EMPC had done so much atrocity. They had committed so much financial, you couldn't describe it. They bought rigs, the rigs that they are talking about, the drill ships and the rigs and everything. At a point in time, they had bought about 37 or so of those ones. I had described it. Those of you who were not around at the time, this is 2001. We went in there in June. So I'm telling you, going to memory lane, telling you about this. We had told the whole world that at a point in time, they had placed rigs in places like Brazil. There was no human being from our country sitting on there, but GMPs was financing it. I was sent by my minister to go to Angola to go and plead with them that there was a ship sitting on the sea. We call it an NSP. We wanted it to be destroyed because there were human beings on that one. It wasn't yielding anything for the purpose of the. Please let me complete the story.
No, Mr. Chairman. To be honest, the question I asked was direct. He can organize a press conference and say whatever he wants to say. He's not responding to my question. He's not responding to my question. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I don't see the value of what he's saying to my question.
But the question was not allowed.
Mr. Chairman, that's okay. So, yes. So, I'll go with that.
Hold on. When you're done, then I'll continue.
No, I was just saying that he's going on.
Okay, can I continue?
Well, yes. You see, I asked that Honorable Suini bring the report to me. He brought it to me. I asked that Honorable K.T. Hammond bring his one to me. He brought it to me. I have not given it to members. I intended that we discuss it at this level. Before I'm aware, members are holding it and they are speaking to it. It becomes issue largely here like this. Now he says, let me explain the circumstances before you indict me. I don't think that I should deny him. And please, please continue, just be straight to the point and precise.
I'll get to the point, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, so Mr. Chairman, what happened was that 2001, June thereabout, the Ministry of Energy was informed that from the activities I've just described, there was a debt of $247 million that GMPC had created. And what they had come about is this. They had entered into this heading with a company called Société Générale in France. And in the process, the famous or the notorious dray ship D511, Mr. Speaker, had been collateralized to the loan. Thank you very much. Before we came to power, we came in 2000. This collateralization was in 1993, 1994, up to 1998. Some of the people date 1996, others date 1998. So the ship had been collateralized as far back as 1998 to Société Générale for the debts that I've talked about. Mr. Chairman, the worst of it is this. The ship had been impounded in Amman. It had gone, not working for Ghana, it had gone to work for a company in India. On its way back, it was going to go to somewhere in the United Kingdom.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think what is happening is fair, Mr. Chairman.
You have no, please.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think it is fair.
Please.
You don't restrict questions. You don't restrict questions, but give the nominee the opportunity to set his... It's not fair. You restrict the questions, but you give him the free will to set his own questions and answer. It's not fair.
Honorable Suini, you have the opportunity, you just jump in. You won't even allow me to regulate. That is how we are here. The things we agreed to do, you unilaterally decided to go behind it. So why shouldn't I allow him to respond? Let him respond. After that, you can ask him any questions you want. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this ship had been impounded. It had been arrested in Amman. We were informed about these developments and the fact that the matters were pending in the court of London, England. At Cabinet, my minister put up this issue. The Attorney General and at the time had all considered the issues, and they were clear in their minds that the position of Ghana was hopeless. We had gone and then we had taken this loan, we had collateralized the ship, we had GMPC, so Ghana, GMPC had defaulted. This is how the debt came about. There was no way of pleading the case but to settle. This is where I entered the fray. I was informed that since I was a practicing barrister at the Bar of England and Wales, and this matter was pending at the Court of England in London, I was possibly, and of course related to the Minister of Energy, it was suggested that I should go and find out what we could do. Now, what to do was simply find out how much we could pay. They were asking for 46 million. I went to Paris, to the offices of Société Générale in Paris, back in London, to and fro. Mr. Speaker, as I've said, I was 3 months in place as a deputy minister. You can well imagine that a matter of this magnitude would not be taken at my level. Every twist and turn, I called back home. Every twist and turn, I was given my executive instruments, quote unquote. That is the documentation. Some of them signed by the then Attorney General, some of them signed by the then Chief Executive of GMPC.
Now, yes. So, did you appear before the
Apple Committee?
Yes. Were you at the time?
Yes.
Accused of anything. What were you accused of?
Nothing. Mr. Chairman, the report makes so interesting. It is what I've passed on to you. That's why I was getting pretty upset, but I had to take back the word that I used. Nothing of what that my colleague Sohini read is in that report. The report on the facts, straightforward, what I've told you, the basis, and the fact that it says I was at the thick of affairs. Mr. Chairman, look at paragraph 7 of what I gave you. I mean, if you look at, I think the comment, that subject is of the leadership in the report, which is attached to the document, the CI. You will see it. I've circled that one. So that deals with the leadership matter. Go on there to paragraph 11 of the report or something. You see, I've underlined it. I've marked it with red ink. Have you seen it? Keep going, Mr. Chairman. Keep going. I'm not concluding. The world has to know this matter. Let's put it. Have you seen it? What I gave you. Have you seen it?
Are you talking about IX? Okay, X.
What does it say? Please.
Government of Ghana.
Please read that aloud. Read that aloud.
It's all right. I'm not the one answering the question.
Please read it for me.
Yes. The government of Ghana then decided to sell one of GMPC's marine assets, the drill ship Discover 511, a going profit consent to pay off the compromise settlement amount. Is what of that?
What it's about is that so 23 years or so later, somebody suggests that Katie Hammond was the government of Ghana. Is that fair? That is the commissioner clearly puts it beyond argumentation. The government of Ghana decided that ship, and there were reasons for why the government decided to do it.
So what is it?
Put it again this way, Mr. Chairman. Of the 47 million, following my arrangements and going around and the compromise which the special commissioner states over there, they decided instead of 47 million that we had accumulated to charge 19.5 million in place of the 47 million. I think I need a national award for that. 47 million, and we managed to get it to 19.5. Now, this is how but that is the point. 47 million was reduced to 19.5.
Ask the questions.
Of course, GMPC, NDC,
okay. Now, please ask your question.
Okay, Honorable Katie Hammond, disbursement of $900,000 to the law firm Constant to cater for future debt of GMPC to other operations. Are you aware of that? Were you queried as to whether the $900,000, which mandate you had to expend that money?
No, I was not queried about that, Mr. Chairman. You see, the difficulty about, you see, it's no reflection of my colleagues. You guys should be a little careful. Mr. Chairman, when a report like this is presented to the government comments on the back of the report and not to make its own findings. That part over there was an addition by the government which had no reflection in the report presented by Mr. Justice Apo.
Actually, I'm reading from the report. I'm not reading from the white paper.
You are reading from where? It's not even true. He's not reading from the report. He's reading from the white paper. Well, that's
Mr. Chairman.
Look at them.
Mr. Chairman. No. Chairman, may I go on?
No, you can't go on. You can't go on, Mr.
Honorable nominee.
Please. I'm regulating it. I've asked him to go on. Please.
Which company purchased the drill ship? And do you have any relationship with the company that bought the drill ship?
Mr. Chairman, I saw that this whole argumentation because 20 years I've lived with this. I know every bit about it without going back and forth. This matter has been before the sole commissioner.
Sorry, that's the question.
Yes.
Do you have any relationship with the company that bought the drill ship?
No, Mr. Speaker, no.
Do you know the name of the company that bought the drill ship?
I'm sorry?
Do you know the name of the company that bought the drill ship?
22 years ago. I mean, really.
Pardon?
22 years ago, one of the Finnish companies, they bought it. GMPC has the answer. I don't remember it. It's not in the report, I think.
When the nominee was responding, in fact, his opening remarks, I agree with him when he sought to paint a very awkward picture of happenings in our country. For instance, he said he doesn't understand how come a country like ours will import animal intestines, as he puts it, used clothing, rice, poultry, etc. May I find out from you, what is your program to curtail these things that you have rightly identified as an anomaly leading to the collapse of our economy? What will you do to reverse this troubling situation?
Mr. Chairman, I did indicate that I'd seen some documentation from cabinet where a decision, a team has been. And this for Koboka. No, I want to forgive me, please. Forgive me, Mr. Chairman. I didn't forgive me. I didn't want to say that it was forced on me. I had to say it. Forgive me. Chief Whip, I had indicated earlier on that I've seen some documentation in which the cabinet has set up a team. Cabinet has suggested that it probably is a good thing for the country to look at import substitution and take account of these matters that I mentioned and which you have come back to. It's identified about 50 of these items that cabinet through the various ministries should be looking at. It's been pruned down, the 50 has been pruned down to about 20, which government thinks that deserves immediate attention. So it's become an interministerial kind of thing, obviously superintended over by the Minister of Trade and Industry, but it's a concern. So let's go in there and then together with our colleagues, it's not a matter that, me sitting here, I'm able to profess my own ideas, what I'm going to do. Government is already taking steps, and the document...
Honorable Katie Hammond, you will be the government advisor, the government senior advisor on trade and industry. You are telling... you will be leading government drive at that ministry. You are telling document, which you haven't even told us what the content of that document is. Why should this committee approve you based on a document you've read, which we haven't seen?
Mr. Chairman, Katie Hammond is not going there as an island entirely arrogated unto himself. He's going there as part of cabinet. The cabinet has been in place for 6 years. I'm only going to compliment what has already been put in place. And I told you it's a document. Of course, you want to see, maybe you can't see it now because this is my own notes. I saw something and I scribbled down a few things. You can't even read my handwriting. But I've seen a few things and I've indicated it. This is the intention of government. There is a committee. This is the suggestion. I will go, hopefully, if I'm allowed to go, be part of the team, and then we'll put this thing into practice to see how it adheres to the benefit of the whole country.
Honorable Katie Hammond, on 30th of October 2022, Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research urged government downsize government to solve part of the economic situation. 21st January 2023, Professor Eli Claim Komla, a lecturer at University of Ghana, downsized government to be able to solve part of the economic as a challenge. 26 October 2022, Occupy Ghana, downsized government to be able to solve part of the economic situation. 8th November 2022, Professor Joseph Obiri Mante, Presbyterian moderator, downsized government to be able to solve part of the economic situation. 9th of February 2023, Pentecostal Council, downsize government to be able to solve part of the economic situation. 22nd November 2022, Catholic bishops, downsize government to be able to solve part of the economic situation. 9 February 2023, Ghana Pentecostal Charismatic Council, downsize government to solve the economic situation. Honorable Katie Hammond, you haven't said anything here that tells me that you are coming to add anything at all to government. Don't you feel you should basically tell the government, to tell President Akufo-Addo, thank you for appointing me, but I think you can do a better job by realigning the current ministers and get efficiency out of government so that you save this committee the trouble of even making any recommendation on you at all.
Mr. Chairman, I think I disagree with my learned colleague. Learned colleague, that's right. I disagree. No.
I'm not a lawyer.
All right.
I am a chartered architect with the Ghana Institute of Architects and Royal Institute of British Architects as well.
Well done.
In good standing, actually.
Okay. Well done. I disagree. I disagree with it.
Agree. My final question, Honorable Katie Hammond. We are told the bulk of our compatriots in this country are young people, and we believe they must be able to make their point forcefully, even if they disagree with me, you, government, opposition. Do you still believe that the youth, the curvature of the youth in this country is such that they cannot have the ability to make good judgment on government policies? I.e., you were quoted of saying that some youth have coconut head and don't have the ability to make a point or criticize government. Do you still believe in that?
No, but that's not even what I said. That's not. You get this in proper perspective. That's not what I said. We've all been youth before. When I joined the Kufuor government, I was the youngest, even though at 40, I was the youngest. Though a deputy minister, all of them, I was the youngest. So we can I?
That's quite an old young person, to be honest. 40 is quite old.
But that's the point I'm making. I was. But we've been young before. So it's not for anybody to try and cascade the youth unreasonably. What I have been saying is this, and let's get it right. The youth must all the reasons to say what they want to say. They have the right, the entitlement to participate in the government of the country. What I said was that there was a limit to how these matters are to be handled. There has been this whole business, and if you recall, I think the communist revolution also, what it was that when we come to government, the first thing we do, all the lawyers, we chain them together and then dump them under the sea. We kill all of them. It's been one of the communist manifesto sort of thing. My argument is that you don't rule a country without the adults. I maintain it. The youth alone cannot run a country. It's not possible. There can't be a mixture of the youth and my friends, my nephews, Abrokwa, all the young ones who have been in government, Ponkroma and others, they are in government. It's never been my argument that they cannot have a say in the running of the country. I said they should be tamed, they should be temperate in the kind of things that they say, and the suggestion that every adult is useless. You look at me, you think I'm useless?
I believe you are useless. But my information is that as of the time you were in government, you were certainly not the youngest. Nana Kumia was probably younger than you when you were in government. Will you concede that you've made a comment which is inaccurate and then probably correct it publicly as well?
If I respond, if he joined, I don't recall if Nana Kumia was in the first team. But if he was, and I'm wrong about that, then I'm wrong. But I don't think he was.
Yeah. It's okay. Thank you very much. Chairman, I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, Deputy Leader.
Just to deal with the issue of the drillship. But before we deal with that, we'll reconcile Article 94 and 280. So 94 talks about prohibition, which disqualifies you as a member of parliament. And by extension, if you want to be a minister and there are adverse findings. I've gone through the entire report of Justice Apple, which I believe you've gone through. Is there any specific paragraph in the findings of Justice Appel that finds you culpable, and by extension, you losing your rights under the circumstance you find yourself?
No, Mr. Chairman.
2, I have also perused the government white paper, and for the avoidance of doubt, I would read the white paper of government. And I say so, I read it within the context of Article 280D of the Constitution, 2D. I will refer to that later, but let me read what government says. Government directs IOCO to undertake the assignment in 1 above. That is the list of individuals that are to be investigated, the circumstance of transactions and all that. Your name is not mentioned. And then when it comes to the conclusion of government white paper recommendation, this is what government says. And I refer to President John Dramani Mahama government, a white paper which was signed under his name. He says, quote, government further directs IOCO to investigate the mandate and authority and or basis of Honorable K.T. Hammond's disbursement of the 900,000 to the law firm Constant and Constant. Yes, $900,000, United States dollars, to Constant and Constant to cater for future debts of GMPC to other creditors. Ab initio, it is clear to me that the government did not find the work of the commission in respect of your involvement in the whole transaction conclusive. You agree with that? You agree with that?
Well, no, if you say I didn't find conclusive, no, it's not conclusive.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that from this,
yeah,
the ordinary meaning of the comment by government is that the government does not find it conclusive.
Well, maybe they didn't like it because I was not implicated.
Yes,
maybe
so
they didn't like it.
the government did not find it conclusive.
That's right.
Right. Now, government therefore wanted investigation by IOCO into your mandate. Would you say that IOCO invited you in respect of this?
Okay, that's quite important, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, that statement completely taken out of context, completely inadequate, completely wrong. There's no future anywhere. The chairman got that bit completely wrong, factually.
Honorable K.T. Hammond, Honorable K.T. Hammond, please, I claim your attention. Take it easy. Pay attention to my line of questioning, and let's make progress. Please take it easy. The provision under 280 talks about the effects of the report when government takes certain actions under 280. You agree with that? So all I'm saying is that government admitted that you have not been found culpable. Through this comment, government admitted that there is nothing conclusive against you by way of adverse findings. You agree with that? Into the mic. I want your response into the mic.
Well, yes, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Therefore, government knowing that there is no conclusion as to adverse findings against you, then directs IOCO to investigate. You agree to that? Do you agree to that?
Well, yes.
Good. So now let's deal with the issue of IOCO.
Yeah.
My questions are the following.
Yeah.
One,
yeah.
Did IOCO invite you to investigate you in respect of the following, as quoted by government? Government further direct IOCO to investigate the mandate, 1, authority, 2, and or the basis of Honorable K.T. Hammond disbursement. I heard you in an earlier answer saying that everything you did was under the direction of government. And in fact, Justice Appel himself did say, I mean JA as he then was, did say that government had taken certain action, so it didn't refer to you. I am saying that did Iyoko invite you on this matter for the purpose of bringing a finality?
I'm a little reticent because I'm struggling. Something happened, and I'm trying to make a. I think I went, and when I pointed out to them about the
Katie Hammond, with respect,
no,
did Iyoko, please, Mr. Katie Hammond, please pay attention.
Bear with me. Mr. Chairman, please bear with me. I hear what you're saying. I am thinking two things happened. That's why I'm not able. Listen, this is a court. We keep on saying that it's we say it's not a court, it's a house of records. I want to be clear whether they actually invited me or not. I'm thinking this is 2012 to now. It's about 11 or so years ago. But let me, Chairman.
Please, would it please you to take some water? Would it please you to take some water?
Not quite, no.
Just to relax yourself. Please,
No, I'm fine.
You know when. Bring your attention here.
I understand.
Yeah. Now, 2015, Mr. Katie Hammond. 2015.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
2015 was when we had the government white paper being issued. What I am drawing your attention to is that under the relevant provisions of the Constitution, the report becomes a finality only if 280 is not triggered. Now, government triggered 280. That notwithstanding, the report itself did not come out with adverse findings against you as a person. We've read it, and you have answered that, yes, there was no such thing. Now, let's go to the secondary stage of the steps government took. Government in its white paper under 280D said Iyoko should investigate you. Question: should further investigate, meaning that it doesn't find the report conclusive, maybe because the report did not find you, did not come out with adverse findings against you. It could be one of two ways. So, did Iyoko invite you? If you remember,
I don't recall you
very well
inviting me.
Very well. Did Iyoko write to you in respect of this matter specifically?
I don't recall that.
Right. Are you aware whether Iyoko conducted any investigation in respect to this and findings published accordingly? Are you aware?
No, I'm not.
Right. So let's make further progress. So the prohibition which would deny you your rights has, as a minister of state, has not been established under 94. Do you agree with that?
Well, that's self-serving, so I don't want you to answer it for me. As far as I'm concerned, well, no, it has not been established.
Indeed. Now, no, Anketi, so let's go to the trade, the 1D1F. Yes. The 1D1F.
Katie Hammond, pay attention. Who is there that is distracting you? Let me remove.
So let's go to 1D1F now. I heard it. Thank you.
I don't know who is.
Policy on tax exemption has changed.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, yes, it's become an issue. I have been told that the documents are bogged down in Parliament. We don't appear to have done much about it because I think there is there is some confusion. I've been told about it. I read from our own the Hansard and of course our parliamentary documents. There seems to be an issue, and so hopefully. I can also tell you, when my name was mentioned, I did mention to the chairman of the finance committee that in the event that Parliament approves that I go to the ministry, we should come over so that we can resolve these matters and make sure that we make some movement.
Okay, so apart from this, are you aware that GIPC has introduced some regulation, which regulation seek to limit access to this incentive?
Incentive being the tax waivers or whatever. Well, that is reflected in the new Exemptions Act. Is that what you are referring me to?
That is so.
Yes, there is an act of parliament, and so obviously you can put together policies which will be contrary to the act of parliament as exemplified in the Exemptions Act.
So a typical situation is our colleague member of parliament, he has said so publicly, so I'm relying on his public sentiment to ask for your intervention. Our colleague Kennedy Ohine Japan said as a result of the 1D1F policy, he decided to venture into the steel business by setting up a steel factory. About 70% of his equipment came, and as a duly registered 1D1F entity, he benefited. And he praised government for that, and he encouraged others to take advantage of the policy. However, he's been complaining bitterly lately that the subsequent machines that came, he had to pay duty because GIPC now says that there is no such incentive in existence. Should you find same to be true, what steps would you take to ensure that this is restored? Because he's a Ghanaian, and there are many Ghanaians who got attracted into this, and it appears that it's not a complaint limited to him alone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, actually, I'm aware of these matters. That is because there appears to have been a continuous flow of communication between the Parliamentary Committee on Finance and the Minister of Trade on these matters. The letters that I've seen been written from Parliament, signed by the clerk on behalf of the chairman, to the minister, which have dealt. These letters have dealt with this particular matter. The Minister of Trade is also written back to Parliament. So there's been a to and fro. Incidentally, it just happened that Parliament also sent a report. The Finance Committee sent actually a report which is described as the guidelines on these matters to the plenary, which the plenary appears to have agreed upon, which does not seem to sit very well with the original policy of government for these exemptions. We will be looking at these matters again and then see how we're able to bring sanity to bear in the area. And of course, the likes of Ken Japan and people in his people who are equally pleased as him would have their cases specifically investigated.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, with respect, for our work to be conclusive, an additional matter has been raised, which matter, if it is so, would prohibit our respected colleague from holding office. No, Mr. Chair, if you may allow me.
Don't worry, that is our job. If there's anything illegal, I would not approve it. So,
Mr. Chair, I thought you would allow me. You would know the drift.
You're going to put the law to
I'm not going to ask him a question.
Then let's wait. Now the man has been sitting down for 3.5 hours. So let's finish with it.
Mr. Chair, I thank you. I will not challenge you. I appreciate the opportunity given me then. Thank you so much. I have no further question to ask.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we all know that 1D, 1F is a flagship program under this government. Obviously, it is one of the key mandates of the Ministry of Trade and Industry. We know that this policy initiative by this government was designed as a program for rural industrialization with the following key objectives. 1, creation of mass employment. 2, value addition. 3, substitution of import substitution. 4, increase export. And 5, increase in foreign exchange. However, in the 2023 budget, the Minister of Finance had this to say. He said, Mr. Speaker, Ghana is heavily dependent on import. He went on today to say that Ghana had to spend $10 billion every year for the purposes of import, and listed some of the items we have to import. I want to find out from you, Honorable Nominee. 1, can you outline some of the key achievements the 1D, 1F has achieved so far in terms of the objectives of job creation, import substitution, and export, and most importantly, foreign exchange? Can you please give us, if you have any information about this?
Well, I think I first can take the. That's the whole import of it, as you rightly said. We have so much unemployment, and you say that in our rural areas, it's also the peri-urbans who are rushing to get into the cities. So it was to stem the flow of the youth to the capital to look for non-existent job. My understanding is that if all that is in the pipeline, the various industries that are anticipated are contemplated under the scheme, at least those that have started, which are at various stages of completion, if they all come together, we're looking at about 238,000 direct and indirect employment that's so far been created. So that I think is some sort of achievement. You talk about import substitution. Well, I don't know so far what is it that we've been able to produce in such quantities that have had to stem the flow of imports. That I don't know. But we do export things. The cashews, the oil palm. I'm not sure about the cocoa, but the things that we produce on the little scales that we all know, some of them are export. Well, cocoa is not probably part of it, but some of them are export. So I should think that they contribute to restoration of our foreign reserves.
Honorable Nominee, so far the government of Ghana has spent 10 billion cedis approximately on this program, including tax exemptions, subsidy on loans, and other incentives. 10 billion Ghana cedis on this program. Considering your answer, do you think this program is worthwhile?
Oh, I think it's worth how much has been put in there. You see, it's in the teasing stages. We haven't seen the completion of the entire package. It started from somewhere. I'm not sure whether Jumako area, we already have one over there. Well, if we have, that's good. Yeah, but it's supposed to spread over the entire country. I suspect that in the end, when it's all put together and the effect is measured, I think we would say that it is worth the effort and money that has gone in. The youth employment thing is it's an area that we should also be interested in. If I understand that because of this policy, some youth have actually come together, established industries, and government is contributed some of the monies that you talk about to ensure that their businesses are up and kicking.
Honorable nominee, what steps or strategies will you be able to introduce to rejuvenate the 1D1F if approved?
At the risk of repeating things that I've said, it's not simply coming in there, the KT Hammond wants this and this and this. It's a government, it's a collegiate, it's a collective entity. I've told you, I've told the hearing that there are plans. The 1D1F is a flagship project for the government. Its concentration is massively focused on it. So it's not what I personally would do. The template is there. I would simply have to make sure that it's properly implemented under my leadership. It's not something that I'm creating from scratch or the ministry is creating from scratch.
The Honourable Majority Leader wants to ask a question before I come back, so I'll allow him to ask his questions and come back.
Mr. Chairman, a very fundamental issue has been raised in respect of the qualification or otherwise of the nominee. And Article 94(2)(d) has indeed been cited. Also, been brought into the picture is Article 280, the import of it. Now, an issue has been made about the content of the white paper following after the investigation as from the Commission of Inquiry. And the language is this, that IOCO should further pursue the matter, which suggests that the conclusion, as far as the white paper is concerned, was not conclusive. Mr. Chairman, which is what has been referred to, and just to quote again, government further directs IOCO to investigate the mandate, authority, and or basis of Honorable KT Hammond's disbursement of the 900,000 United States dollars to the law firm Constant & Constant to cater for future debts of GMPC to other creditors. Mr. Chairman, I would want to suggest strongly that this committee knocks on the door of IOCO to let us know whether they pursued this matter and brought it to a conclusion. It would be of interest to this committee to so establish, and that is what I'm urging the committee. Mr. Chairman, I thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a matter we can discuss. He's raised a concern, but I would suggest we discuss this matter before we take a decision on this in camera. So, Mr. Chairman, he has made.
Leave us to do that.
Yeah, he has made a point, but let us discuss it first and then make a determination on this matter. Mr. Chairman, to proceed on my questions, Honorable KT Hammond, is the Ministry of Trade and Industry an economic ministry? Yes or no?
I would say yes.
Okay. Can you describe the state of Ghanaian economy?
Was the first question a trick one then? And so it is a finance analyst and Honorable Chairman, Honorable Minority Leader, I mean, don't let us make any bones about it. It's not even an open secret. It's a fact that we are in trying times. But it's not only Ghana which is in trying times. You know what I read this morning? The IMF director, the lady, Christina Griviana, forgive me, yes. it's in the news this morning, or last night, but I read it this morning, to have said that, listen, Ghana really was trying, was doing extremely well. Thank you for the compliment. But for 2 items, COVID and then the Korean War. It's classic. You and I have traveled a lot. Everywhere in the world, there is a problem. Look at Britain. Look at Britain. This and that, you know, everybody is added. So you see, don't let us make bones the economy of Ghana. Ghana is not an island isolated on its own. We are a formidable part of the global world. There's a difficulty the whole world brought about by certain economic factors, exogenous and internal ones. We accept it. It's difficult, but I tell you, that's not the end of the world.
Honorable Katie Hammond, so are you concerned about the state of our economy?
I must be.
So if you are concerned about the state of the economy, we've heard our minister responsible for finance say the time has come for us to burden share. What do you understand by the word burden share? And what role can you play to share the burden with ordinary Ghanaian?
You see, English is a very malleable language. You got to be careful about interpretation. So when a finance minister makes that kind of comment and it's put to me to interpret it, you put me in a difficulty.
Do you consider burden sharing to mean that the people of Ghana and the government will need to share the burden of economic recovery? Will you consider that as an answer?
The burden of economic recovery, yes, every hand on the wheel, we're all together, make sure that we get back to where we were before COVID and others ravaged the economy.
In the 2023 budget, the Minister of Finance introduced 24 measures, tax measures, aimed at raking in additional tax revenue. Obviously, the ordinary Ghanaian taxpayer is sharing the burden. Have you seen any corresponding burden sharing from the government in the budget? Or have you heard of any corresponding burden sharing as a nominee and as a member of parliament?
I haven't brought. You are the master of that document, the budget document. The other day you sat me down, you were taking me through a lot of things. So I defer to you on these matters. I haven't found one. You didn't show me. You didn't show me those lines the last time, so I can't be sure about it. But really, it's fair. You make a general point, which I think is good. Burden sharing, which it's not. I don't think it should be the case that somebody expects that some group of people should bear all the difficulties in the system whilst the others enjoy all the booty. I don't think that is the question. So basically, fundamentally, you make the point. It should cut across board. As to how it operates, I think we should all decide on how we move forward.
Honorable Katie, don't you, in honesty, think that the time has come for the ruling class, starting with the executive, followed by the legislature, and then obviously the judiciary, to make some sacrifices for the ordinary Ghanaian to be aware that we have started sharing the burden? Don't you think
Honorable Minority Leader, I mean, it goes without saying that should be the case. But as to the parameters, as I said, we should all discuss.
So what will you make of, Mr. Minister?
Honorable, would you suggest that members of parliament, as part of burden sharing, give away not less than 50% of our emoluments? Would you suggest that?
Mr. Chairman, say until I sat here, I was your class captain. Class captain, you should ensure that they're all on your side. So you go and make these public statements, and your class, pounces on you. What are you going to do? So I prefer to be mute for the time being.
So, Honorable Minister, Honorable Nominee, and Honorable Katie Hammond, what is your view about those who says that the time has come for Ghana to downsize the size of government? What's your personal view about this matter?
Honorable Minority Leader, what really would you describe as a reasonable size of government? What really? Give me an idea. What do you suggest?
I ask you a question.
Sometimes the class preferred is allowed to answer ask the question.
As part of burden sharing, and to signal to the people of Ghana that we, the ruling class, we also care. Don't you think the time has come for us to downsize the size of government?
I answered that previously. I actually said that as a matter for the president who was voted for by the whole country. He's the executive president. So these are matters I think he can comfortably deal with.
Honorable Katie Hammond, on the 4th of April 2014, you did a press conference that was captured by an online portal, mps.com. mps.com.
No, the date.
4th of April 2014. You were then the ranking member of Energy, Mines and Energy. And you said, blame Mahama's incompetence for economic woes. You went on to say, let me read what the news portal reported. Hammond, who also is the MP for Adanse Asokwa, the current economic challenge the country is facing is as a result of incompetence of the Mahama administration. Why should petroleum prices be consistently increased? Why should we be subject to the incompetence of the administration of economic mismanagement of this country? It is simply the same incompetence. Honorable Katie Hammond, at the time you made a statement, the liter of petrol was 3 cedis. 3 cedis. Today, a liter of petrol is 14.9, almost 15 cedis per liter. If Mahama was incompetent then, how will you describe the current president?
Mr. Chairman, I think Ato has made a quantum leap to get to where he is now. He doesn't even ascertain whether I wrote it or I didn't write it. I don't know what he's talking about. So put questions to me based on a document I don't even know about. It's completely unfair. I don't know about that. I don't see my language in the kind of things that he said.
So are you denying knowledge of
Absolutely. Except, of course, it's my document with my signature. Then, of course, I thought you said some portal when they reported something. Be careful, Minority Leader. I'm praying for you. Sometime later, you might want to be finance minister. Be careful when you get these portals on whatever news media and you start quoting them, you fall in trouble.
Your job is to accept or deny. So I'm only waiting for you to give me an answer, whether you said that or you never said that.
I don't know about the document. I would have been talking of petroleum and others, incompetence, but I've been dropping left, right, and center. The combination of the lot, I don't recall.
Okay.
Can you recall anything at all?
So, Honorable Nominee, traders are complaining of the free fall of the Ghanaian cedi. If approved as a Minister of Trade and Industry, what will you do differently to help the government shore up our reserves and to get the city to stabilize?
How do you see, again, I've made this point here before, publicly. See, some of this microeconomics thing that you have been teaching me yourself, they are not entirely the responsibility of various sector ministers. This is the Bank of Ghana business. You know, when you look at the constitution and those other things, Bank of Ghana is also to ensure that the foreign reserves of the country, and then the monetary policy is one, and of course the fluctuation, the yo-yoing of the city, these matters are controlled. They're not really the responsibility of local government minister Damboje. They are not the entire responsibility of the final, the Honorable Napo or the Honorable my sister. Communication. You see, it's the collective thing headed obviously by the finance minister. But some of these nitty-gritties, I have always maintained that find this in the Bank of Ghana. I have situations I've read, I've seen it, press conferences, Bank of Ghana, Bank of England, I mean, the Fed chairman, they come out and they deal with these matters. Although some of these questions should also be posed at them.
I can understand where you're coming from, Honorable Nominee. Apart from to say that import substitution and trade facilitation is also a responsibility of Ministry of Trade and Industry.
I accept that. We
and
talked
you will
about
have
that.
a role to play to support the government if approved.
We discussed that at length in the previous question, so I accept that entirely.
Another question. The same traders and particularly the industry, they are complaining of the cost of lending. Cost of lending is a major drain on businesses. It is affecting industries, affecting traders. As a trade minister, and I've heard your predecessor make those comments, what will you do differently to assist traders to get access to cheap loans for their businesses and to grow the economy?
Again, I share in your concern. We've all been wondering, why is it that the cost of borrowing in Ghana is so atrocious? We've all been asking, what is it? But it must be for some reason. The money would first come from Bank of Ghana to the commercial banks. And then I think they add their top-ups and then whatever. In the end, the traders are saddled with what they have. It's a difficulty, but as I've told you, in terms of the one district, one factory, and all the other bits that I've indicated, they are clear. Government has issued directives on what is to be done. The incentives to be given by way of payment of some of the interest to these companies, and then also making sure that they've actually put together what they call the participating financial institutions, which have been encouraged, Mr. Chairman, to give loans to these enterprises. Of course, also to the waivers that we have alluded to, which are indicated clogged up in Parliament. So, Mr. Minority Leader, yes, we would get there. As to how we get there, I mean, I read that at a point in time when they were paying about 20% or so percentage rate of interest. This government had insisted that I should pay half of it. It's now about 30. I myself tried to raise some loan from some bank the other day. I can say to you in confidence, if you wouldn't tell anybody, the rate of return that they put on it, it was so horrifying that I thanked them and I walked away. It's a difficulty which would have to be resolved one way or the other.
Mr. Chairman, my last question. Mr. Chairman, the President obviously appoints ministers. And if you look at Article 78.1, it says that the Minister of State shall be appointed by the President with the prior approval of Parliament from among members of Parliament or persons qualified to be elected as members of Parliament. The two says the President shall appoint such number of ministers of state as may be necessary for the efficient running of state. Honorable Minister, when vetting, Honorable Nominee, when vetting ministerial nominees, what I look out for is temperament. Today, as I sit here, I could see that you lost your temper at one point. My question is, as a minister, you will certainly be provoked if approved. Will you exercise the patience to do the work as required by the Constitution?
No, it's not straight yes. You've known me for many, many years. I joke a lot. People think that all I do is joke and all of that. I believe in proper human relationship. What I can't stand is when consciously somebody tries to play diabolics with me. I can't stand it. So that is what has ignited this in me. When we started Chief Whip, I was laughing. He warned me it's national television. I shouldn't joke and all that. I think that life is too short. We shouldn't be so serious about everything. That is why I always am laughing. My relationship with people is solid. I believe in it. But nobody plays games with me. What the honorable member tried to do was not fair. I'm prepared to tone down my language. Every single thing that he said was not in the report. Every single thing he said was not in the...
Yeah.
Thank you. I would contain my temperament and then I would relate beautifully with everybody.
That's the assurance I was waiting to hear. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm not sure that I should ask you any more questions because you have told the whole world that I used to fetch water for you, which is true.
I've done good by you, I've done good by you, I tell you. Look at you. Excellent, I was all through my instrumentality. Clap for me.
I'll ask you, when will you finish your project at our school? They're watching you. I've told them that I'll ask you.
I asked you to bring some contribution. You said I should pay for your contribution. I mean, supposed to do something. Few people are prepared. Everybody is complaining. So I said you should. You said that for all the water you carried for me, I should pay your contribution. Now, me too. I will do our best.
Very well, Honorable Ketiamon. Thank you for attending upon the committee to answer questions.
Mr. Chairman, well, before the year, let me thank my colleagues. Actually, I expected as class prefect, you would have done this in about 10 minutes. In the end, it's gone into so many hours. But Honorable Ayaga,
Honorable Ketiamon,
don't worry about anything.
You're discharged, please.
I'm grateful to everybody.
Other members.